All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the 228th Governance and Risk meeting here at MakerDAO. My name is Pros. My name is Peyton. I go by Pros11 online. Been a while since I messed that up. I'm one of the governance facilitators at MakerDAO, currently out in East Denver, which is why I look sleep deprived and a little more casual than usual. But really happy to be joined here by a bunch of awesome Maker people who both contribute and are interested in the protocol. And yeah, today we're going to be going through our weekly governance and risk call. Patrick, if you mind moving forward the slide deck. Excellent. One more few ground rules before we get started. Let's try to avoid talking over each other, both for the recording's sake and us present here live on the call. We have chat and reactions, which are super helpful tools for us. You can use the raise hand feature if you'd like to add something once the current speaker finishes talking. That's really helpful for me as a moderator. Lets me know you have something to say. I can call on you and we avoid talking over each other. I'll try to introduce you, but there's several of you. I may not know who you are. So when you hop on the mic, especially if I've forgotten to give an introduction, don't worry, it's not personal. I just forget very easily. So please let people know who you are, where you're speaking on behalf of, if so. And yeah, if you have questions, comments, anything like that, this is our open meeting. This is where we uncover governance and risk issues. So please surface them here and we'll be happy to talk about them. All right, moving us forward. Got a bit of an agenda to get through. As usual, we'll start with votes and the MIPs update. Then for today, we have two kind of hefty initiative updates. So we have reserved the discussion segment for initiative follow-up. We'll be hearing from the MIP editors about Rune's big sub-proposal amendment that has a lot of changes to the current MIP structure. So we figured that was a good first one to tackle now that the frozen period is in. And then we're also going to be hearing a website and branding update from the growth team. So really looking forward to that. If you'll move us forward. Excellent. We'll go into votes now. Was a fairly quiet start on the front. And yeah, we have one poll that passed. That was the Open Market Committee's proposal to change a few rates. Not too many changes in there. We are expecting that for the executive next week. So take a look if you haven't seen it yet. And then we have a number of February ratification polls that have closed. So you'll be hearing about those in our next segment. For the executive, you might have noticed nothing went up yesterday. Nothing's going to go up tomorrow. But we do have a bit of a hefty one next week featuring some curve stake ETH liquidation parameter changes, the stablecoin vault offboardings from about a month ago that we were initially pulling on those, the aforementioned Maker Open Market Committee parameter changes, some CU budget distributions, and delegate compensation. Right, moving on, I'm going to hand over the mic to our lovely MIP editors to walk you through what's going on in the MIPS world. Looks like I have Gala.
Yes, hi Peyton, thank you very much. So this week, the 4 monthly ratification polls for the February governance cycle closed. Let's take a look at the results. As you see, there's two proposals that were approved. These are MIP 4C2 subproposal 30, which amends the facilitator onboarding process. It requires less governance input in order to accelerate the process and to minimize disruption to the core unit's continuity. And there's also another amendment, subproposal 33, which amends MIP 62 to replace explicit reference to the offboarding GovComms core unit with a more general communication coordinator role. Next, we have the weekly cycle ratification polls. We announced this next slide. So this was announced the weekly cycle ratification poll to go up this past Monday. However, we realized there was a comptroller missing. So that has now been added and it will be ready to go on chain next Monday. For our proposals in RFC, as you know, we have a huge list. We've been through it a lot. I invite you to visit our weekly MIPS update that we posted on Monday. So here's the link. So this includes a list of all active proposals. So today, as as Pros just mentioned, we're going to dive into MIP 102C2 subproposal 1. So this is the subproposal that introduces a number of amendments to support the transition to the pre-game Maker constitution and the scope frameworks. This is the first MIP 102C2 subproposal. It will, if passes MIP 102, it replaces, it supersedes MIP 4, whose amending process we've been using up to now. This subproposal particularly will amend MIP 0, which is the foundational MIP. It removes most of its components. It changes it into a minimal MIP to serve in the transition from the MIP framework to the constitution-centered scope frameworks. It prohibits that new MIPs be submitted. So already accepted MIPs are to be marked as obsolete and deprecated. Exceptions are the endgame MIPs. So these are the MIPs that you can see here on this slide, which are all being amended as well. And plus also MIPs 101 to MIP 114. However, MIPs and subproposals that are ongoing or diversely active, such as the ones that launch smart contracts, set up legal entities, so those are generally to keep running. The subproposal will also amend MIP 16. It restricts the possibility to put forth weekly cycle proposals to facilitators listed in the arbitration scope only. It determines that the only way to make arbitrary changes to governance is through the amendment of scope frameworks. And there are other role changes like Governance Security Advisory Council instead of PE. It will amend MIP 24, replaces governance facilitators by arbitration facilitators. The core unit framework MIPs as well. So it added a new component that defines special rules for the endgame transition. So no new core units nor budgets can be proposed or approved. Recurrent budgets are to be discontinued except for strategic finance budget, which is allowed to recur once. Core unit responsibilities and roles are overridden by the Constitution and by scope frameworks. However, if no direction is given, they can fall back onto their mandate. And once all budgets have run out, core unit framework MIPs will be marked as obsolete. The subproposal will amend MIP 51. It modifies the monthly governance cycle to proceed more efficiently with less risk and more participation. It reduces the number of votes that take place for each monthly cycle, ensures that only one executive vote is required per week under normal circumstances. So it aims to make the governance monthly cycle less complex and easier to understand. And finally, there's the amendment to MIP 55, establishing that no more special purpose funds can be created, but existing special purpose funds continue until they run out. Once no more special purpose funds are active from this MIP, it must be moved to the obsolete status. So this is all for the dive in. In the last week for proposals in RFC, we have a few new proposals in the last days that we are going to cover in our weekly update next week. A few of them are actually MIP 102C2 sub-proposals, so amendments, and there's also MIP 118 and MIP 119. For the important dates, the frozen period just kicked in for proposals entering March governance cycle. So the formal submission window opened next Monday for 3 days. We ask authors to please confirm publicly under the thread of their proposal that they are formally submitting their proposals. March governance cycle ratification polls will go on chain on Monday, March 13, and the last day to submit proposals to enter April governance cycle is March the 8th. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Gala. Happy to pause there for a few moments if we did have questions. I know that's a lot of information in the MIP there, and I have dropped it in the chat for you to peruse later. If you don't have questions at the moment, I suggest maybe taking a look, and maybe that will be a fruitful discussion for for a little bit later on. Pausing here in case anyone has any quick clarifications. And then okay. Excellent. In that case, we'll table that for now. Like I said, more than happy, expecting to dig into more of that later, but it is a lot to process in one go. I know we have some people from Growth here who are going to be sharing our initiative update. Wondering if I need to give screen share permissions to someone.
Hi, Peyton. Yeah, that'll be me.
Excellent. Give me one moment here and we'll switch over for you. All right, Patrick, stop sharing. I made you co-host. You should be good to go. Oh, and thanks, Patrick, for dropping that PR. Again, that'll actually let you see like what the actual changes to the text are, which can be helpful. And then we'll be having summaries forthcoming here next week. Take it away when you're ready, Mamoon.
Yep. So just give me 1 second to compulsory tech issue. I'll join back in just 30 seconds.
No worries. Appreciate it. And we'll see you in a second. Much better to have a little bit of tech issues than to click the wrong button and share your DMs like I might have on 1 or 2 meetings in the past. Always something fun with GNRs, right? In the meantime, I thought it might be worth highlighting. I thought one kind of important point from Gala's presentation was essentially that like the scopes are kind of be used for the arbitrary things, right? So that's anything that doesn't have a process that's going to be defined in in-game. Let's say you think, well, this isn't defined, but it's still something Maker needs to do. It would have to go through a scope. Again, we'll jump into that here in a little bit. We'll get Mamoon set up with permissions and we should be good to go. All right, you should have co-host. Let me know if you're good on your end.
Hi, everyone. You can see my screen? Perfect. Hello, everyone. Really excited to present our work on the sort of website and brand. We've been, we started working on it last year after we kind of proposed doing the revamping the website. I mean, the revamp of the current website has been long overdue with a lot of information that's sort of out of date, a lot of information that really doesn't belong there. So we wanted to take a look at the website and refresh it. Our motivation was to essentially create a fresh looking, more up-to-date website and present all of the key information coherently and in an organized manner. Bring a bit more commercial focus to the design and content of our website, create brand identities for all of the products that MakerDAO offers. From a people point of view, help onboard sort of more people to the community and the ecosystem, and ultimately sort of establish clear visual guidelines and tone of voice that we can use across all of MakerDAO design and comms. So we worked with an agency called Deep Work Studios to help design the website. The reason we picked them is because they have prior experience of working with other Web3 brands. So we thought hiring an agency that sort of has a better, has an understanding of what we need is going to be really useful for us to for us to sort of get the work done. So I'll quickly talk you through the process before kind of showing you the end result of the design and the kind of output of the work we've done. So the process involved a number of workshops. These basically we broke down in a few workshops. Essentially, there were brand alignment. So looking at, before we start designing, it's kind of working out what do we need and aligning each part of the brand needs. Looking at landing page ideation. So how can we structure how do we do the information architecture, design ideation for the site and product logos, essentially the visual identity, and obviously go through the design iteration to then land on kind of the final design. So I'll quickly walk you through the workshops and the processes for some context on how we arrived at the final design. Apologies in advance if you find it difficult to kind of follow the boards that I'm going to show you on Miro, as there is a lot of information there, but we will make this available in the forum for everyone to view. So if at a later time you want to take the time to go through it all to get a bit more context, feel free to do that. So in the brand alignment session, we basically looked at how we can convey the key aspects of MakerDAO through the website. Our values, what we want to communicate, to whom, priorities for the protocol and the website, and priorities for the community, and also what we need to avoid. And we did that by asking ourselves various questions, such as how might we convey the message that we MakerDAO is built to last? How might we convey transparency through branding? So we asked ourselves this question for each of the elements that we looked at. So the values, communication, audience, etc. So in each of the workshop, we started by listing everything we want to address, and then as a team voted on the most agreed on aspect. We then used those to create a mission statement. So after we kind of worked on this board, we went on to sort of selecting, prioritizing what we believe are the things that we really need to address. Off the back of that, we then basically worked on creating the mission statement, which was to simplify. If we were to, have a statement that says MakerDAO exists to, what do we want to enable? MakerDAO exists to and for, MakerDAO exists to, for, and to. So we then wrote down sort of lots of different ideas. So why do we exist, and whether it's to innovate, to educate, to provide liquidity. When it comes to for, it's the audience. Is it for everyone? Is it for institutes? Is it for developers? And ultimately, what do we want them to do, right? And so again, it's the same process. We listed out a lot of topic, and then we sort of landed on this statement, which was MakerDAO exists to create permissionless open community for anyone in the world with access to internet to provide secure, transparent, and reliable trustworthy liquidity. The reason we wanted to do this was it sort of became the sort of guiding principle for the rest of the sprints and all of the other workshops we did. Following that, we then worked on the landing page ideation session. So here we researched designs that could help to sort of shape the visual output that conveys the mood and personality associated with our brand. Again, the process was to start really broad and then select the most agreed upon options. The reason we wanted to kind of do the mood board was once we had our statement, we wanted to reflect that statement through the design and through the visual language. So, again, all of us went out to do our own research and found various different websites and aspects of those designs that we like. So again, I'm not going to go through it all, but please feel free to feel free to go through the Miro board after we've shared them. But the idea was to really pick out things that we can use, things that really convey the message. So, for example, when we looked at some products. So, what does this design and personality of the mood, convey? So it was usability, for example. We looked at, some of the protocol where they're sort of simple yet vibrant design. So we wanted to bring those elements into the design process and to determine the visual style that will present the new website or the new visual identity. So we landed on some of these points that we wanted to bring into the design. So, for example, we want to be light yet colorful. We want to convey a message of calm and simple. There's an element of seriousness. There is an element of dummies friendly. We also had an element of expensive, but that expensive wasn't at all MakerDAO was expensive. It's more about we don't want to cheapen the brand. We want to keep a sense of sort of class to it. So this was sort of where we landed in terms of the mood for the brand. Off the back of that, we then went on to kind of following workshops that carried on. Here we did another workshop, which was to kind of work out the goals for the website and the what do we actually want to achieve, and looked at how do we actually structure the content and the information to answer key question and the visual language. So this here we again in a similar version of how might we ask ourselves questions such as, if we wanted to answer the question like how might we if our goal was to encourage users to build. So the question was like, how might we encourage them to build? So we ask this question so we know what we need to answer. Similar process. We all put down our ideas and voted on those ideas, and then picked out the most agreed upon ones. We then set out to sort of work out the kind of content structure and layout. So the next workshop again was to kind of look at various different websites and find the websites that had that kind of tackles similar sort of problem in terms of conveying complex information, but in a really simple manner. So we looked at various different websites where they might have had like lots of different products, but they have sort of very simple visual that presents those information. So this was again to sort of give us inspiration on how do we want to design the landing pages. In all of this, one of the two things we wanted to kind of incorporate as part of the design were giving users an easy way to contact MakerDAO and a simplified version of the kind of key information from MakerBurn. So we sort of created an really intuitive contact us page and also a protocol help page. So which again I'll take you through when I show you the design. Once we sort of agreed on the direction of the landing page, the direction of the content hierarchy, deep work went to sort of took all of the information from the workshop and created the initial designs. We discussed the initial design and gave them our feedback to sort of bring more finesse. The next step was to design the initial page layout and then carry out user testing. So we spoke to crypto natives to show them the design, to get their feedback on the design. We got some really good feedback, which we incorporated sort of into the design. There was a lot of information in the Miro board, so it might be a bit tricky to take you through all of that. But the next page here, so here you can actually see what we sort of did. So off the back of all of the research we did, deep work sort of essentially started to incorporate the sort of brand mood and the brand personality and the message we want to convey. And they started to create the initial design. And then again, we provided our feedback, things that we liked, things that we didn't like. So for example, in the initial design, there was a lot of dark colors. So our feedback is that, look, if we want to come across as inclusive and light but yet colorful, this is probably not, the darker color doesn't work. So we sort of worked through all of the various different design elements to arrive at a final design. And part of the workshop was also to kind of work out, if we want people to contact MakerDAO, how do we make that easy and intuitive? So again, we went through the process of asking ourselves the question that, what kind of people will contact us, what sort of information they'll be looking for. So we sort of created these, we sort of addressed those in the workshop. So all of this workshop kind of resulted in quite a few different design sprints. They then came back with this, which again we didn't like. They came back with this, which we didn't like. So we kept on sort of iterating to come to a design that we really liked. We progressively then moved towards a design that looks more like this than dark colors, because we wanted to kind of convey that message of inclusiveness and accessible and light. We took some inspiration from the Maker Academy design, because we looked at some of the design and it looked really vibrant, and we wanted to sort of bring some of that into our current design, and it looks really beautiful what we've done. So output from all of the workshop that we did, basically we now have the website design. We have a tone of voice guideline, and we have the visual guideline. So I'll quickly talk you guys through the website, the tone of voice guideline and the visual guideline, and then we'll look at the website. So here basically we have the, so I'll start here. So here we have the sort of the tone of voice guideline and the visual guideline. MakerDAO logo, obviously, there's nothing to change. So it is, as it remains. So we wanted to incorporate that into this guide. So when we do share with anyone, they have all of that in one place. I'll move on to the next section, which is obviously more interesting. So, like I said, we wanted to create a visual identity for all of the different products that MakerDAO has to offer. So we designed this logo suite for the various different products. So the Vols, D3M, Teleport, TSR, etc. And we wanted to keep the same sort of Maker logo design incorporated into the sort of product suite, because we didn't want to deviate too much from the Maker logo. So all of the logos that we've designed are all of the logos we've designed kind of has that same look and feel of MakerDAO logo. So anyone sees this logo, they can quite easily associate the design with MakerDAO. The whole idea is that products represent the same language, and any future products that that are created, we will be able to create a synchronized design, because we have a design language that we can use. So again, we created colorways, different ways that the logos can be used, exactly the same as the sort of Maker logo. We have sort of strict guidelines for the spacing to use, what colors to use, what can and cannot be done with the logos. The next bit, the color scheme. So as part of the sort of brand mood that we created, of sort of easy and accessible, we went with sort of really light palette of colors, so they're really easy on the eye. You don't sort of get tired looking at these colors. So we kept the primary palette, which are the kind of Maker green, and then we created some secondary palette. This is the sort of dye orange, and some tertiary palettes if we wanted to use them. So basically, this keeps everything in a very lighter scheme, essentially. What's the next? Typography. So we wanted to find typography that's really easy to read. We found a really nice font. It's called Jakarta Sans from Google Fonts. So we've used that everywhere. And when we did the user testing, we got some really good feedback on the font that everyone found it really easy to read. So again, we have the sort of guideline for how to use the sort of typeface. Illustration. So this is sort of our hero illustration that we arrived at. So as I was showing you before, that we went through quite a few different iterations that we didn't really like. But once we looked at sort of simpler color scheme, we found we sort of came to this design that really sort of spoke to us. The idea behind it is when we talk about sort of stable and stable liquidity and transparent, these are essentially representing large sort of solid glass block that represents exactly that. These are stable, they're almost liquid, and they're transparent. You can see through them. And we also wanted to sort of create some visual to represent the decentralized nature of MakerDAO with at the heart of it, to incorporate basically all of that into the website. Next up, the tone of voice guideline. Here we really focused on our audiences. So we looked at sort of DAO users, investors, Web3 institutes and non-Web3 institutes, and developers. The idea was to have a really simple tone of voice that we can use to speak to each of the audience groups. So for DAO users, the tone of voice focuses on safety and ease of use. We want to make sure that we can convey trust, and we can convey that using DAO means essentially you're at safe hands. For investors, the focus is on leveraging MakerDAO's lending facility. So the example copy here is that we sort of incorporate those words and those terminologies. Web3 institutes focus on Web3, focusing on the kind of decentralized nature of MakerDAO. So again, in the example copy, we want to incorporate those terminologies. For non-Web3 institutes, it's all about sort of drawing comparison from commonly understood terminology. And for developers, it's concise and to the point. But developers don't need a lot of explanation. So we want to make sure that the example copies here that we've written are absolutely just to the point. So, and we also have some, in the tone of voice guideline, we also have some guiding sort of brand attributes. And again, these came out of the workshops we did. So, so for example, here we're transparent. So transparent is open, honest, frank, and straightforward and candid. And it's not secretive, it's not opaque, it's not sneaky, it's not evasive. So the idea of using this is to, when we write any copy, we want to keep in mind that we want to convey the message of transparency and what sort of words and what sort of tone of voice we should be using. So yeah, this is essentially the tone of voice and visual guideline. So I guess the next thing is looking at the actual website design. So here is what we kind of landed on. We wanted to sort of create a design that's really simple. We wanted to sort of have a hero image right at the heart of it with a sort of DAO logo that stands out. The sense of openness, we wanted to have lots and lots of sort of open space and clear space around all of the design, all of the text, so that it creates that sense of openness. The product suite, again, presented in a really simple to see, simple to kind of essentially easy on the eye is what we went for. But one of the feedback we got from the user testing sessions is that a lot of people said that it's within this sort of cryptosphere, a lot of websites you go there and you see a lot of their product name, but there isn't a simple kind of one-line explanation of, or one-line kind of explanation of what it is. So we wanted to incorporate that here, and we also wanted to have the sort of learn more button. So if someone wanted to kind of sort of quickly understand what E3M is, it's there. But we also wanted to have, instead of sort of sending people to a different page, we wanted to give that key information right in the homepage. So creating kind of frictionless user experience. Showcase the Maker ecosystem, where we integrated, who we're working with, some of our partners, and just a visual to really represent the decentralized organization, and keep all of the channels open where people can contact us, and be keeping these updated, and the sort of important information in the navigation. So the whole idea is that we wanted to bring all of the kind of key information that someone might be looking for when they come to the website, easy to find. What else? Obviously, the website design is so the design is sort of optimized for mobile and tablet. So again, this was another one of the considerations, that any design we do, any design we create, it needs to fit really nicely into mobile devices, and that's a given. But that again was one of our priorities. So the next thing, I guess, is to kind of give you guys a quick view of the kind of live-ish website. So this is a dummy website we've created where you can actually go and kind of click about and go to different sections of the page. So it gives you a quick, real feel for the website and the navigation. One sort of key thing that I wanted to highlight here is that we decided to include a general FAQ page, and this was something that we were thinking about right from the beginning. Is actually, whilst people have questions about specific products, but they might have questions specific to just Maker or MakerDAO, for example, and we wanted to answer some of those questions. So this is where we'll need community feedback, and I'll come onto that in a minute. So one of the things that I was telling you about before, earlier on, about the contact us page. So here we wanted to, like I said, we wanted to create almost an intuitive contact us page. So anyone that wants to get in touch with MakerDAO, they don't have to go through the forum, the Discord channel, the YouTube channel, Twitter, social media, whatever it is. We broke down how what people might need help with, whether it's general, whether it's generating liquidity, whether it's a business or marketing proposal, participating in governance, or Maker protocol in general. So the way the form works is that if you click on any of the options, it changes the form based on your need. Here, for example, someone says, I want to participate in governance. We show them, okay, you can just go to the Discord and join the channel. If you want to learn more about Maker, we give them the links, understanding Maker product. Again, people can just send us a query and tell us about exactly which product they need help with. Essentially, making it really easy for people to get in touch. So this is sort of where we are at the moment. So the next steps from here will be to populate the pages with the content to reflect our research during the workshop. And so we've made we made a sitemap. This was again done sort of pre and also during the workshop. We wanted to list out any and everything that we can talk about, all of the content that we can create in sort of a sitemap that's quite easy to, or fits the sort of navigation that we've created. And this is a fairly exhaustive list. However, in order to keep the website simple and accessible, we will try to focus on the important bits as not to overwhelm users. But the idea of this sitemap was to kind of create, again, an exhaustive list and then work our way from there and pick the sort of right content that we need to incorporate. And as part of the content creation, what's really important is we want to keep the community involved in the process, so we can be impartial and we can present all of the information that the community feels that it's important to be on the website. So as such, we will publish. We will publish on the forum. We'll provide a link to the dummy version of the website, the mural board, and everything that, well, and including the sort of tone of voice and visual guidelines. So, so you can sort of have a play around and let us know your feedback. As well as to obviously look through the sitemap and provide content recommendation. We may not be able to take all of the recommendations that we get, but goes without saying that, where possible, we will do our absolute best to incorporate as much of the recommendations as possible. Beyond just the design of the website, there is obviously more to do, such as setting up the right analytics, collecting useful and actionable insights that we can share with the rest of the DAO, measure conversion rates from the contact form. So again, generating just insight around where we have more interest coming. So that's sort of where we are at the moment. And so with that, thanks for your time, and we're really looking forward to getting some community feedback.
Excellent. We really appreciate the deep dive, both into how the process went and the output. There have been a few questions in chat. Looks like we've had a few answered, but I would like to read them out just so we get it onto the recording. One question was about the new logos, which there seems to be a lot of love for. Always good to see. Asking if those are going to be transferred to the DAI Foundation, and Nadia responding that yes, they're all brand new. So once we're good and live, they will be transferred over to the DAI Foundation. Then question down here I'm seeing for what languages will be available for the website. I guess that's worth asking at launch or that are on the roadmap as well.
That's a really good question. So we at launch, we're going to have Spanish, French, and Russian. But those are the sort of four we're launching with. But if there's an appetite from the community, we can always look at including other languages. And again, this was another thing that we wanted to make sure that making the site accessible for non English speakers.
Right on. Well, it looks like you got some volunteer translators if we do want to expand that, but that's awesome to get so much global coverage.
That's what we like to see.
All right. Do you want to give a moment for questions specifically related to the brand presentation? I guess you could also ask about the design process, because that was really cool to get a look into. I might just ask, I'm curious, how long did that take place over? Like, was that like a weekend thing? Was it kind of iterated every other week? Yeah.
It took about 3 weeks, because the workshops we did, I think each of those were like 4 or 5 hours long. So there was, we didn't want to cut corner. We wanted to make sure that we cover all grounds. So yeah, it was really fun. It was a really fun process.
Well, definitely looks like a very clean output. So thank you for walking us through that. I'll give the last call for questions related to branding or website. Can expand it a little bit if you have something you're curious about. Don't worry, we're quite friendly and love to see more people on the mic. So if you do have a question, now is your moment. I'll give you a few seconds to respond. sure we'll have a lot of good follow-ups on the forum as well as in chat. So thanks for making this available for everyone. Obviously, this will be on our YouTube recording, so we can share it around with people. You can check back on it later and ask further follow-ups. But really, really appreciate it, Mamoon.
Absolutely, no problem. And before sort of I stop, like I was saying, what's really important for us, as a team, is to get community feedback on the content. So I really encourage everyone, if you can, please take the time to look through the sitemap and let us know your thoughts and how can we sort of make the content even better. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Patrick. My computer stopped freaking out. That is good. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Obviously, we went over quite a bit. Did want to give space for follow-up.
I think Peyton seems to be struggling a bit with the conference internet, so I will take over. So we've just got some time set aside at the end of the call here for any questions or follow-up from anything that was brought up during either of those two things. So Gala's a little brief on the MIP 102 sub-proposal amendments and Mamoon's talk there on the website. So feel free to stick your hand up, ask questions in chat, and we'll try and get you some answers. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't sound like there's a huge clamour for any questions, so I think we can wrap it up there. Feel free to follow up in Discord or on the forums. And everyone who's in Denver, enjoy it and keep making the rest of us very jealous.
Good stuff. See you guys next week.